Welcome, welcome. And yes, it is I, Venus Jones. Thank you so much for joining me. I I am excited. So I had to do the countdown. Shout out to those who have been waiting patiently for this to start. And especially Aisha, because I got your message. You were like, I was there when Lil Red was born. Yes, you were. So today I want you to know, for those who don't know me, my name is Venus Jones, and I am the director, writer, producer, and narrator of Lil Red is Riding the Wrong Way in the Hood. It is an animated modern day cautionary tale, hip hop tale about a little boy who is gone the wrong way. He runs into this uh, trickster, and it becomes a battle of wits to get his bike back. So this piece is really a 4-time award-winning animated short. It's a poem that I turned into a a movie, thanks to a lot of different things that had to lead to that. And one of the main questions I get often is, Venus, what inspired this, or what's the reason why you made this movie? And oh man, y'all, the Oscars just happened. And man, I will get into that a little bit later. But during the Oscars, and I didn't even know the Oscars were on, because honestly, I'm not really somebody that watches the Oscars and the Grammys and things like that traditionally and or habitually. I just don't really. I kind of lost faith in those types of awards, to be honest. So, but because I really want to be rewarded, if you know what I mean, versus get awards all the time by people that I may not even like, and they may not like me, but that's okay. But I am always happy when I am awarded, and it is a 4-time award-winning animated short. But I want to talk about why it exists and why Little Red was born today, because it's been a long time coming. And man, and I say that because I wanted to do this live. I wanted to do this like in October of 2023 and October of 2024. But I didn't have time. I was in October 2023. I was doing a lot of prepping and actually getting ready for Little Red to be premiered at the Silicon African Film Festival. Last year, I was doing more work, getting ready for other festivals and moving and all of the things. But today I'm here smiling and I'm ready to share a little bit more with those of you who follow me about Little Red and how Little Red came to be. And so let's journey with me. Let me see who's in the chat first. Let me see, is there anybody here? Because we're broadcasting in a few different places. I just want to see, is there anybody in the chat who has something to say or a question before I get along my way? Of course he is. Shout out to Stephen Daniel Jones, my number one supporter and most loyal fan. I love you so much. And Steve knows all about Little Red. He's had to hear about Little Red for the last. He might even be a little jealous of Little Red. But that's kind of what happens when, you create something, whether it be a person or a project, and it can take up a lot of your time. But shout out to Stephen Daniel Jones, who's my husband and love of my life. So thank you, Stephen, for being so supportive. And you have been there for me through all of the festivals. We went to a lot of different festivals last year. And right now, it's just reflection time. So let's get into it. I want to share my screen and present to you top 10 reasons that Little Red was born. So let me do that. I'm going to push present. And I am going to add this to the stage for you. So let's look at the top 10 reasons that Little Red, top 10 little known reasons that Little Red was born. Well, I'm a high achiever, if you didn't know. So there's some little known facts about your girl, Venus Love Jones. Who do you know that has been on the cover of a magazine and a billboard? The author of 6 books and 4 spoken word albums. Who do you know who's worked at 2 TV networks, HSN and MTV, as a former SAG actress and director? Who do you know who's been an English and communication professor? Who do you know who's a globally recognized, globally recognized spoken word artist? And now I'm also a 4-time award-winning filmmaker. That would be me. And I just wanted to share a little bit about myself. So that is kind of a little bit about who I am and what you didn't know, or maybe you did know. And if you don't know, now you know, as they used to say. So now I want to share a little bit more about how it was born. And I guess the number one reason is when I think about Little Red being born, I think about wait, hold on. I'm having a little technical difficulty here. Hold on one second. The first time it was premiered, which was Little Red, premiered on October 14th, 2023. And
this is like a birthday?
Oh, let me see. Hold on one second.
This is like a birthday? I
don't know if you can hear. Oh, here we go. Can you hear it? I think you can. Yeah. So maybe you can hear. I'm going to play this.
This is like a birthday for Lil Red.
This was me getting a little emotional on the first film festival screening, public screening. And we have Stevie Wonder playing in the background.
Little Red was born and introduced to the world. Today is October 14th, 2023. So look how about Advocate Film Festival. And my name is Venus Love.
So this was a synchronistic moment of me realizing that the MLK song Happy Birthday was playing, and it was the same night. So now one of our traditions is to go and eat Ethiopian food, because that's what we chose to eat that night. So if you have any questions for me, feel free to share in the chat. And I will answer along the way, because I'm happy to expand a little bit more. Steve is kind of standing by. If you see anything in the chat, or please let me know, Steve, and I'll try to answer questions that someone might have. So the number one reason that I don't ever forget is that we're trying to reduce the number of missing and exploited youth. Do you know where you're going to? When I was a kid, I remember listening to Diana Ross singing, "Do you know where you're going to? Do you like the things that life is showing you? Where are you going to? Do you know?" Well, some don't know. Even as adults, we always don't know. And some of us, we get lost along the way. And if you are if you're living with a child who is suffering from anxiety or ADD or things like that, I'm thinking about those children the most, because sometimes they can be the most vulnerable, or young people who were foster children, kind of like myself. And I want to reduce the number of missing, exploited youth who don't always know where they're headed. But this is why I wanted to also share this video, because this video is the first time I got a chance to actually see Little Red movie for the first time, and you get to see my reaction.
This is Lil Red's face. He's coming together. He's looking around. He's being observant. That's right, kids.
Know where you're headed. Know where you're headed. And this is me. Yes, that's me on the right. That's a little picture of me in preschool. I think this is like kindergarten or preschool. And I was just with a preschooler yesterday. Shout out to Journey and Jace and my friend Jen. And oh my goodness, but this was me when I was that age. And I just wanted you guys to think about that song from Mahogany and Diana Ross singing that, and asking your kids, do they know where they're headed? And are they being observant? Because trying to teach kids to be observant was one of the main reasons, as well as this, of course, reducing the missing. Next slide. Okay. If you didn't know, this was not my very first video project. During 2020, we had a heightened Black Lives Matter movement happening. And before I got the grant that helped me fund this film, I was actually awarded a grant for revolutionary healing from the McKnight Foundation and Mosaic America. And the San Jose Museum of Art actually shared that piece of work. And you can see a picture of me here with a lot of other artists. That was February 16th, and it was in 2022. But the truth is, even though I have all of these accomplishments and I'm always trying my best to stay in God's good graces, I'm not always feeling supported by humans all the time. It makes me feel like an alien. But no support was all the motivation I needed. Success hits different when no one believes in you. And during the pandemic, it was tough to get anybody to do anything. So I was giving financial support at a time where a lot of people just didn't want to do much, right? And it was really tough. But I'm grateful to say that I did accomplish an amazing goal with Revolutionary Healing, where we kind of followed a lot of artists and activists, because I consider myself an artist, who were in the Bay Area, where I was living at the time, which is the Bay Area is Oakland, San Jose, and the San Francisco area. And this was something that I was working on. But let's just say I didn't feel completely supported, but it sparked the Black Lives Matter movement coming together with all of my talents and all of the reasons for moving forward was really sometimes my tenacity and my just stubbornness of saying, I don't care, I'm going to keep moving, and I want to prove that I can move even when everything feels like it's standing still. And that's why also the Black Lives Matter movement was actually fuel for me, as well as the pandemic. Number 3, I was testing my circle of trust. During this social impact campaign that we are in the beginning of, with Lil Red is Riding Their Own Way in the Hood, I was testing my circle of trust, and one of my goals is to have other people create circles of trust. And what does that mean? Again, it was me just seeing, okay, if I created this video about revolutionary healing, what else can I do at a bigger level that people might support? And how can I support other organizations who are on the front lines of child safety? So it happened. I became pretty successful with this project. But I knew I was going to be, you know why? Because I'm relentless. I knew I was going to be successful. But that does not mean that people didn't show their true colors. As it says on the right of this slide, I've been overlooked, doubted, forgotten, left out, and gave up on. And despite all that, I never let any of it stop me. And don't you let it stop you. Because what's beautiful about success is the best success or revenge, as they say, is a life well lived. And I am a testament to that. One of my one of the posts that I as I was getting ready to prep for Little Red, I wrote this post because I knew it would happen. And it can be painful to see people come through afterwards or join bandwagons. But I said, the distance you kept during my struggle, I'm going to need you to double it during my success. If that ain't a petty Gemini, but I said it. And I got a lot of likes on this, right? I got a ton of likes because I know I'm not the only one that feels that way. Like, it feels like people kind of keep their distance when you need them most. When you feel like you're struggling, but it seems like as soon as you look like you're successful, here they come. But that's okay, right? We forget, but we don't forget. Okay, so what's number 4? What's the 4th reason then, Venus, that Little Red was born? This number 4, hair love happens. Hair love happens. Now, it's an Academy Award winning Best Animated Short in 2020, and that's when I first started writing. Little Red is Riding the Wrong Way in the Hood. And this was actually based on a book. And guess what? I wanted this animated short to be a book. But I was told by Christy, that one of my biggest supporters, she was like, Venus, I think you found the perfect medium when you turned it into an animated short. Because it's a little edgy, it is, but so is what happens when we don't educate our youth at the appropriate age, which is actually day one, about the dangers and how that they can stay safe. But let's keep it moving. Number 4, it still is me talking about Christy a little bit because, I'm sorry, number 5, we started polishing up the poems and I joined the Academy. Yes, Storyteller Academy. If you are an artist and you're like, man, Venus, I want to be able to write better too, and I wish I could write a storybook or a children's book. That's where it started. I was writing a children's book. I have a ton of them, so there's way more where this comes from, including more Little Red. But I have like 4 or 5 other books that I've written that I'm so excited to get to. But first, I have to stay focused on Little Red until Little Red is walking. Okay. But before Little Red was called Little Red is Riding the Wrong Way in the Hood, you can see there, right here in front of you, see that it was actually called Little Red Goes to Woofers. Because they say I'm like a queen of wordplay, and I was thinking about woofers. And for me, woofers growing up was, I think of the woof, but I also think of speakers. So that's the way my brain works, and you can see some of my scratches out there. And shout out to Christy Wright. When I was at African Silicon Valley Film Festival, my very first festival, I wore poetry, of course, because I didn't want y'all to forget that I'm still a poet. Number 6, Real Sisters Film Festival is another reason, one of the top 10 reasons the Little Red was born. Shout out to Carolyn Butts. She is the founder of Real Sisters and Stephen Jones. You can see my hubby and best friend here in the picture with us. But it was 2019 when I saw Carolyn last. I had the pleasure to speak in New York for a seminary, I believe it was. I'm so sorry, my memory. But it was then that I got a chance to visit with Carolyn, and I was one of the last people in her old location. She is the founder of Real Sisters Film Festival, as well as African Voices magazine. So you see me, my African Voices map. I've been a long time fan of her work as a magazine editor, who has always highlighted artists who are artists and activists at the same time. But when I found out that she also was behind the first Academy Award qualifying festival for women of color, that too inspired me to want to make her proud more than anything. And this is her on the right, looking really, really proud. She's showing up to someone else's film festival, not her own, to root me on. And that was when we were in Harlem this past year. So next, number 7. What is the 7th reason? Did I do that right? I'm sorry. Like, did I go from 6? No, okay. I'm right. Oh, I was like, did I skip a number? Okay, I did. It's okay. Number 7, determined to thrive. Hey, it happened. And they knew who to call because I'm determined to thrive. Well, there was this determined to thrive. I'm kind of going backwards a little bit. Now we're going, you got 2019. I'm inspired by Carolyn. I see her again. You got 2020. I'm up in the Story Academy, writing, trying to get these poems together and get them just perfect. I'm, going into peer groups. It's not enough for me to go to open mic and just have people clap. I need to get it right. All right. So that's what happened. So I'm trying to get it right. But I'm also synchronistically running into these artists, but more importantly at the time, these people who were change makers and community leaders in Oakland. So it's 2021. We're still kind of in the pandemic, and they're calling me. I'm still doing virtual events, and they're like, "Venus, we need you to cheer people up because blah blah blah. Somebody just got shot, and it was one of our key leaders, and it was somebody who was in crime prevention." And I'm like, wow. So it was one of the hardest presentations that I had ever had to do was on October 22nd because it's during the pandemic. I can't really touch and feel them physically, but I'm giving them my all and I'm sharing about what it takes to thrive right after one of their own who was a positive person, made them all feel like, wow, why are we doing this? Like if nobody really cares. Long story short, I said, thanks, Oakland, for allowing me to share my poetic keynote today. And it's all about faith over fear. It's all about victory over violence. It's all about healing words, waging peace through poetry, which is my motto. The person who invited me, she used to be an undercover cop. And I feel like when I saw her, I saw myself. And that was somebody who was in this film called Still I Rise. And you all, if you know me well, I love Maya Angelou. So I saw that as a sign too. And so that was me. This is a picture of me and Holly Josh, Holly Joshi is the person who taught me about Still I Rise. And when I watched this film, she was like, Venus, I want you to watch this film. When I told her about me, trying to write Lil Red, she was like, I need you to watch this film. I was like, really? She was like, yeah, because it's about human trafficking in the Bay Area. And I was like, okay. So I watched the film and I'm like shocked at the stats and what is going on that I didn't even know that was happening in my own backyard. Following that year, somebody in the audience, her name was Vanessa Russell. She also enjoyed what I did on October 22nd, and she asked me to do something else for her festival. For her fundraiser for Love Never Fails. So Love Never Fails became a champion for Lil Red too, just inspiring me to keep going and keep writing it because it was needed. Because there were so many people who were talking about the problems, but we don't have a lot of solutions. And according to the National Trafficking Hotline, California is still, unfortunately, the number 1 state in the U.S. for human trafficking. And a lot of, too many are young people around the ages of 12 on average and up. So that's why we know that Lil Red was important and I had to keep going. Number 8. We applied to the CCI in August and won the grant in October 2022. So this was my first shout out publicly to Joseph, Jason, LaCour, and Rika De La Luz, who have always had my back, even if it was last minute and maybe they had just found out, I don't know. But I was like, what? I got 4 days to fill out this application for this grant. They were like, yeah, but I know you can do it. Just do it. And I said, okay. But we don't, what do they say? You just got to stay ready. So this was not my first rodeo. I had tried to get many, many grants before and just rejected. But this time, not so much. Because you will find out that the Center for Cultural Innovation, they knew it was some divine timing, I guess. And sure enough, Lil Red was born because of me winning this grant. Little Mermaid. Number 9, Little Mermaid. Let's talk about it. Little Mermaid happened. Disney's release of The Little Mermaid was in 2023, May 26th. But before then, they taught me a whole lot about animation because it was released in 23, but they were promoting it before then. So it was actually 2022 in September when we were seeing like all this hype around the film, and everybody was like, "Oh, we can't wait to see Little Mermaid. And she's gonna look like me. She's gonna be a little brown black girl," and I'm so excited about it. Well, everybody wasn't. Okay, whole bunch of people was not, but it got me thinking. It got me thinking a lot, and I don't like to say devil's advocate because I'm always thinking about words. I wanted to be an angel's advocate at the same time because I don't always go on cutter lines. I go on lines that I feel like are about my principles. And just because it's black don't mean it's not whack. Okay. Sometimes it's just because I don't always support it just because it's black. But here's the truth. I was also starting a little bit of conversation by saying this about the project. I said, while many are discussing the pigment of a mermaid's face and hair, allow me to state the fact that I'm team original. I said, I am tired of the copies. When can we stop with the formulas in music and film? I miss the early 80s when even sampling, and I do remember this, was frowned upon. I'm tired of remakes of old fairy tales and songs, and I said leave well enough alone and greenlight the production of something I've never heard or seen before. Investors, it's been 100 years of Disney. And that's when I started going into all of this about the wanting amazing scripts and sometimes experimental music and how gatekeepers don't always greenlight them. But what's the higher cost? Oh, the humanity. We can do better. I want to be a part of a world where everyone knows how to be an inventor and not a clone. Yes, I'm tired of the culture wars, but I'm also tired of the clone wars. Mic drop. What is you talking about, Venus? That's what some people said. Other people, they heard me loud and clear. Because a lot of the times I think we do get in these formulas, but as artists, even the ones that some people are praising right now and saying they're so authentic, they're still following the formula. And I knew that eventually, if I wanted my eyes to get on something important, I would have to follow the formula. So everybody didn't see the little reading between the lines. Everybody didn't see that under the comment I wrote for the record. Almost like hint, hint. As I live, I am still inspecting the cultural norms and what it takes to really thrive as a female entrepreneur and multi-passionate artist in the margins. Therefore, don't be surprised if you see me producing my own spinoff of an original. What fable will I reinvent and why? Time will tell. It's always telling. That's what I like to say. So this was just me kind of hinting that I knew I was working on Lil Red. I didn't even have the grant yet, but I knew that it was something that could eventually make me have to eat those words about being team original. So I was just getting y'all prepared. And even though I sometimes feel like spinoffs are bad, the truth is the script that I wrote is original. I've been told it's very original, and it's not like anything you've seen before. So if you haven't seen it yet, I want you to continue to ride with us on this journey, and it will be time, and it'll be well worth the wait. I promise you. Number 10. Let me shake the maracas. Or this egg right here for new beginnings. Because I must admit, this is hard to say because I never, ever want to see the downfall of any oppressed person. But this is what we're talking about here, the downfall of Big Deal and the unsung, and how sometimes we can devour our own when we are feeling trapped. So here's a quote by Prince. Record contracts are just like slavery. Don't sign them. And what happens when we, when I say when the person who's oppressed starts to mimic the oppressor? It's a dangerous thing. It means that sometimes some people might be unsung and some people might get theft and things taken from them. Right now, as we speak, there's a lot of conversation about, I didn't know Angie Stone did that. And I didn't know so-and-so was behind this and that. And why is that? I like to ask the question. I think it's because everybody wants to be a big deal. My character or my protagonist is, his name is Big Deal. He owns the Woofer store, and a lot of people have likened him to other music people because behind him there's like records and things like that. And I just remember when I was younger, a lot of people wanted to be in the entertainment industry, but didn't know how predatory it can be if you don't know who you're working with and if they worship money more than God, you know what I mean? But Unsung, if you don't know too, shout out to the producers of Unsung and Scott Brown, who's actually on that show. He's a friend of mine. But Unsung is a documentary about just artists that I grew up listening to who signed a lot of bad contracts. And I'm like, if I see one more Black and brown artist signing a bad contract, I'm just gonna pull my hair out. So I said I had to have some kind of that, a little bit of that in the storyline. So that's why you see that in the movie too. So we are at number 10, downfall of Big Deal, and what we are seeing in the headlines and why this project could not be more timely. I want to acknowledge the journey of Little Red. Little Red also started in in my on my little red couch that I'm selling, by the way, if you want a copy of the Little Red couch that produced Little Red. But holla at your girl. But this is Little Red at the Apollo. Here's another little known fact. Little Red is Riding the Wrong Way in the Hood. It was one of the first films ever to film at Victoria. The Apollo stages at the Victoria, and I'm very, very proud of that fact. It also became an Essence finalist last year, and I was not surprised that it didn't really make it to the actual film festival, because I didn't even know that Essence had a film festival, and it's kind of a newer one, and so I know that they're still probably learning what they want to see and how they want to see it. But I'm proud to say that I'm one of the first finalists of the Essence Film Festival too, and it also received the award for the best animation of the year, which is the greatest of all time award. And this is a picture of me at the Poppy Jasper International Film Festival too, where it won 3 awards, and you'll see me holding at least 2 there. So I'm grateful for that. So Lil Red is still riding high. It's the official dream though, that you didn't know. Man, going back to Carolyn Bus, I could not go to Harlem 2 times in 1 year, but we also ended up being an official selection at the Real Sisters of the Diaspora Film Festival and Lecture Series. I did not make it as an Oscar qualifying film, but I'm just grateful to be amongst all of the stars and all of the people. It's even like I saw the Oscars and I was like, man, it's crazy. Some of these films, I saw them for the first time. Like, oh my gosh. What am I thinking? There were so many. Conclave. Wow, I was one of the first people to see that one at the Mill Valley Film Festival. So I was so happy to see them winning in that whole group. But June 15th and October 19th were special days for me. This is me at the Black Family Day, where Real Sisters filmed they screened the film not more than once, and then this is where I got a chance to be a live feed and talk about the film. yes, with young people and their families. Love for my screeners. Let's talk about my screeners. Well, I want to give a shout out to a few screeners because we are looking for more screeners. And sometimes you got to build your credibility up because people think, well, why would you ask screener? I don't know about that film. Well, this is me sharing the love for those who have already supported me. So thank you so much to Chike with Silicon Valley African Film Festival, Vanessa with Love Never Fails, Carolyn with Real Sisters, Susan Ellenberg with the Black Maternal Health Week. She's a city official. Maddie with Poppy Jasper International Film Festival. C.R. Capers with the Hip Hop Film Festival. Zoe with Mill Valley. And yes, many, many more that I cannot list just now. But those are some people that I want to highlight one more time. Do you want to screen Little Red? Do you want to see Little Red? Do you want to preview it? You can. But first, you got to fill out the screening request. If you're like, I'm so tired of Venus talking about Little Red, I still want to see that movie, but I have not had you. Well, that's because we're in the social impact campaigns phase right now, which means I'm really looking for artists, activists, community leaders, those change makers who are serious about making sure that this film is not just something you get to just watch, but you have to talk about it. We don't want to just watch it. We want to chat, talk about it. So I want y'all to be about it. The change you want to see with making sure less people are being exploited. Yes? Holla if you hear it. And you want to screen Little Red and you got a good feeling about it, but you haven't seen it, you got to go to lilredmovie.com. Now, when you go there, you will get a pop-up asking you to join our Indiegogo campaign, which will be in its heightened stage in July. But before then, you can still join and keep staying on the journey with us. But if you are really ready, you can bypass that if you need to, and you just want to look. You just get in there at lilredmovie.com. You look for the screening form, and you fill out the screen form, and you will be able to watch Lil Red, and we can talk about a good date where you can watch the 7-minute film, and that's with your intended audience. And as it says, each one teach one. And I'm excited to, even if we just reach one family, I'm excited about the change, the positive change that we will have happening. Yes, because I love my patrons and I had to give them a shout out. So speaking of people who support at a deeper level, I have to give a shout out to those of people who are on my Patreon page. And that means they have been believing in this art as activism for a very long time, or they just believe in me. And I need to see their names many times when I'm just sad and feeling lonely. And why do I keep doing this? But holla to Ernie, Yolanda, Stephen, Kalila, Gerald, Finn, Sharinda, Christy, Dana, and maybe one day even you. So thank you to my paid patrons. I really appreciate your monthly support at the $1 level, at the $5 level, at the $500 level. You know, I'm even taking $1,000 level if y'all won't come through. Okay, my loving invitation. Why am I inviting you to become a patron? Because I'm inviting you to a discovery call, and this takes time. And right now this is the best way to support me. So you can go. If you're not going to be the educator or the change maker who is pushing the film or helping us get it out to those who need it most, and get it into classrooms with a lesson plan, I'm imagining critical conversations and dialogue and ways that we can talk about decreasing the disconnect, even at a community event. Or you can follow Little Red simply at Little Red Movie if you want to, follow a little bit longer. You can follow the YouTube page or the IG page as we continue to make those look even more with more flair. I'm really working on consistency, you all. Look, like I said, hyperfocus hyperfocus has been my saving grace. But I'm tired of being all over everywhere, everywhere all at once. Have you seen that movie too? Oh my gosh, that's my life. I really just want to find one place, and I think that is Patreon. So that's why I really want you to follow me there and become a Patreon there, because one day I'll be so focused in one place, and we will have so much to share with you from just the humor between Steve and us, or Steve and I, as well as all of the behind the scenes festival run highlights that we're still getting in, and just past pictures of all those amazing things that I told you I did at one time in my former life. Who inspired Goldie's hair? Now this, I'm gonna have to talk about this next time, but this is just giving you a clip or a little preview of what I might be sharing with patrons about a deeper dive into who inspired what characters. And Goldie is definitely a crowd favorite. And I got a chance to meet one of the Black Lives Matter founders. And this is an image of me and her. And when I saw her hair while I was in the middle of, pre-production, almost post-production, I said, yeah, we gotta get some locks, some gold locks. Just like what Al has. So this is an image of her and I, and yes, that's a little known fact. But who inspired my grind? Because we have already given you 10 reasons this film was born, but who inspired my grind? Maybe that's what you want to know. And it's really my grandma. I believe it's her. So as you can see here, she's got the Bible in hand and she's looking up to me. And I could not love this photo more because of that. I always wanted the approval of this Rosa May. And I didn't always have it. But when I wrote my first book, I'll never forget when I didn't even tell her about it. But one day she called me because she had heard about it and she was in tears. She was like, I'm so proud of you. And I had never heard her say that much. So, of course, I was in tears after finding out she was in tears and telling me. So I always wanted to make her proud. And she passed away when she was 100 years old. And she passed away in 2021. But this is a picture of Mother. And that's who inspires my grind, is my grandmother. She also inspires the grandma character in this film, Quiet as It's Kept. But those who know me best know. It's loud. It's loud. You can tell. You can hear Mother in the character in some of her speech. I want you to subscribe for red alerts at lilredmovie.com if you have not yet. And that is where you will find just alerts about what we're doing. If you don't follow the Indiegogo campaign, actually, I'm inviting you to follow both, as well as the YouTube page if you have to pick 3. And just stay in touch, with us as we continue to let Little Red lead the way forward in missing, in decreasing the missing and decreasing the disconnect. Because as a communication coach, I'm so interested more in almost is equally proud of our discussion guide and wanting to make sure that we are part of the change. We are the ones who are going to make sure Black lives matter for real. And we're not just going to be saying it as an affirmation, but as a fact. Let me pause on that. And that is the power of art. That is activism. So that's why I had to start off. That's why I had to start off this whole live with something I don't like to do. because somebody said it's not bragging if it's true. But during the halftime, you heard Kendrick talking about, in his lyrics, sit down, be humble, right? That's what I was taught to do as well. Sit down and be humble. But humility means that sometimes you're not seen. So I take responsibility for that. And I will continue to keep looking up and keep looking out. Because when we do, there's a lot less fear and a lot less doubt. So shout out to everybody who I might have forgot to say your name. Especially Aisha, who I know she might have forgot her. But I know you were waiting for this live. So I love you so much. I love everybody who's watching and who's always cheering me on, whether I say your name or not. I'm so grateful for you. And if you have any questions for me, please don't ever hesitate to reach out, because I continue to be about my business of wage and peace through poetry and pushing progress. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. And again, my name is Venus Jones, Venus Love Jones. Until next time.